Chapter 8, verses 1 through 75. 1. Honor the creation of all things, creation, and its appearance, nature, because everything has proceeded from its laws and recommendations in concord, harmony, with its basic thought, idea, and its power. 2. And as you consider the creation of all things, creation, then regulate in yourselves and amongst all people of your kind, humankind, all things in concord, harmony, and follow the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, so that you may go along with it in consonance, harmony. 3. Be truthfully knowing ones and wise ones in your inner world consciousness, so you vibrate in truth in your thoughts and feelings and in your psyche when you see the unsurpassabilities, miracles, of the appearance, nature, and the signs, evidence, of the creation of all things, creation. And when you see the signs, evidence, and unsurpassabilities, miracles, then be still and introspective in deference, venerability, in yourselves, and trust in the goodness and love that go forth from the creation of all things, creation, and through its laws and recommendations. 4. And fulfill your thanks for what it gives to you and has been preparing for you since time immemorial, so that you may live, exist, and enjoy your existence, life, in accordance with your own discretion. 5. Be true, knowing ones in the truth amongst all people of your kind, humankind, and be thoughtful of consider that there are no different levels amongst yourselves as people of your kind, human beings, because you are unified and of equal value in the estimation of the creation of all things, creation, without any difference. Therefore you shall be without difference in your attitude, also amongst yourselves, and enjoy forgiveness amongst yourselves if you have done fallible things to one another. And therefore you shall stand up for one another and strive, so that all people of your kind, humankind, have honorable provision, food, sustenance, clothing, by you being helpful to one another and providing one another with welfare, support. 6. Wherever you go, conduct your goings and your deeds in equitableness, fairness, and never be averse to standing by people of your kind, fellow human beings, if someone requires your help. And always be connected in friendship and love and in amiableness as people of your kind, humanity, so that you never consider one another as enemies. 7. And do not dispute amongst yourselves concerning the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, once you have become knowing, conscious of them. And do not allow yourselves to be driven to death because of the truth, because although you should be connected and loyal to the truth, you shall not become a victim, martyr, for its sake. Rather be silent if you are asked about it and you are threatened with death. Therefore keep the truth before your eyes and in your knowledge at all times for yourselves, but be silent concerning it and uphold the truth for yourselves alone if you are threatened with outrage, torture, on your body and with death. And whoever does not stay silent in dumbness regarding something which results in outrage, torture, or death for them thereby brings harm on themselves and commits a misdemeanor, infringement, against the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, which state that every person of your kind, human being, shall protect himself or herself against outrages, torture, and acts of Goblet. 8. By all means wish at all times that you can bring the truth to the light of day through your words and by your efforts. But consider that you are unable to cut off the roots of the unbelievers of the truth if you deliver yourselves up to the outrage, torture acts of Goblet, of your adversaries and suffer, accept death, so you can no longer stand up for the truth if you are once again afforded the opportunity to do so. 9. Only consider bringing the truth to the light of day and destroying the wrong things if you will not suffer for doing so at the hands of the ones unknowing of the truth, the unfair ones, irresponsible ones, and unrighteous ones, conscienceless ones, because they do not like to hear the truth. Do not give them the opportunity to cajole, constrain you so that you cannot come to any harm if you stand up for the truth. Therefore it is always for you to determine, decide, whether you shall stand up openly, publicly, for the truth, representing the truth, or whether you choose the way of silence. Therefore do not do the same as the belief-oriented ones who worship gods and tend gods and, in the self-opinionated attitude, fanaticism, of their belief, assumptions, impatiently, fanatically, stand up for their devotion, belief, even as far as enduring an outrage, torture, on their body and as far as death, truly. This is not in accordance with the knowledge of the truth, but merely with going astray in a zealous, fanatical belief, assumptions, that is settled far from all truth. 10. And truly, only the truth gives you a fair, right answer to these things, just as it is only the truth that stands by you in understanding with 1,000 pieces of advice. 11. And it is only the truth as the joyful message of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, and your following of the same that are capable of creating true calm in yourselves, so that you may gradually comprehend, understand the guidelines, instructions of the teaching of the prophets and become knowing, conscious, and wise. 12. And know that when sleep steals over you and you see pictures, dreams, then this is for your own safety, so that your inner world, consciousness, and your subinner world, subconsciousness, become aware, perceive, and use, process all unseen, unconscious things, with the result that calm and understanding arises in you, and you do not become deluded. 13. And the pictures, dreams, in your sleep are as water, rain, that falls down on you from the clouds, so that you may be cleaned, liberated by it from maculations, unprocessed things, in your inner world, consciousness, in your subinner world, subconsciousness, which process the things which you have noticed, perceived, unseen, unconsciously, whereby you are strengthened and your step gets stronger. 14. It is also revealed to you that you shall strengthen yourselves in the knowledge of the truth, so that you do not continuously fall into dread like the ones unknowing of the truth, but be righteous, conscientious, and fair, responsible, to the ones unknowing of the truth, and do not beat them, either on the nape of their neck or on their head or body, and neither on their feet and toes or on the tips of their fingers, because to do so is an outrage, torture punishment act of Goblet, to the body and limb extremities. And it is also against all laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. 15. And if the ones unknowing of the truth, the unfair ones, irresponsible ones, and unrighteous ones, conscienceless ones, offer defiance against the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, as is given as the teaching of the prophets through the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, then be fair to them and instruct, teach them about the truth if they have a volition, desire. For this, give your instruction in loving accuracy. Righteousness equals conscientiousness. But do not exact retaliation if there is no compliance with the truth teaching. 16. Never punish people of your kind, fellow human beings, whether children or those who have come of age, grown up. Instead, practice only punishment in equitableness, fairness, if it is necessary, although the body and life as well as the inner world, consciousness, and the psyche shall not be harmed. 17. If you are openly, publicly attacked, accused with words by ones unknowing of the truth, then turn your back on them, turn away from them. If you do not have the power and knowledge to contradict, counter the words of the attack, but if you are knowing, conscious, and wise, then do not turn your back on them, do not turn away from them. Rather confront them with might and good explanatory words and teach, instruct them in the truth if they have sufficient fullness, greatness, to open their ears to your instruction. 18. But turn your back on all attacks, advertisements, which are intended to drag you into a battle war, because every battle war is against all laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. But if you veer off into one or another battle war, then truly you are loading your own rage on yourselves by creating a shadow world, hell, in yourselves, in your own nature, which will become your shelter in miserable determination, decision. 19. And if you slay, kill, murder people of your kind, human beings, then you are also slaying, killing, murdering the truth in yourselves which slumbers in the depths of your inner nature and which you only need to awaken in order to be fair, responsible, and righteous, conscientious. You cast dross onto your inner nature, and this casts it out with Goblet, by means of which you commit evil deeds and bring yourselves to a fall. And in doing so you mercilessly let your high inner world, consciousness, become wild. 20. If you are looking for a decision for enmity, then the decision has truly already come to you, because it is given by the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, so that you may recognize them, follow them, and distance yourselves, turn away from evil, the unfair, irresponsible, virtueless, unrighteous, conscienceless, and from enmity. If you do, however, turn towards enmity against people of your kind, fellow human beings, then they will also return to enmity, and truly your enmity will be of no use, produce nothing of goodness, no matter how numerous you may be. 21. All of you who want to be knowing, conscious, in the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. Open your ears to the teaching of the prophets and listen to the words of the true prophets, and do not turn yourselves away from them, for as long as you hear them speaking. 22. Do not be arrogant, vain, and do not assume, believe, fallaciously that you are listening to the words of the prophets when you are in fact not listening to them, and you do not understand, do not realize their words. 23. Truly, the worst amongst people of your kind, human beings, are those who hear the truth but who conduct themselves in falseness, deviousness, like ones who are deaf and mute and pretend that they do not hear the truth and could not speak about it because they do not understand but want to live knowingly, consciously as unfair ones, irresponsible ones, and unrighteous ones, conscienceless ones. 24. And if there is still anything of goodness in them, then they suppress it because they prefer wealth rather than following the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. Therefore they do not want to hear or to speak because they turn away from the truth in unwillingness, aversion. 25. Do rightfully in all things and learn everything about the truth that you can learn. Therefore listen to the true prophets when they call you with the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, which is their teaching, and is created from the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. And learn the truth from the teaching of the prophets, so that you give yourselves true life, and know that you must gather all people of your kind, humankind, to the truth if you do not want to suffer your downfall, and one day want to depart, migrate, emigrate, into the firmaments, universe, and onto the earths, worlds, planets. 26. Beware of all tribulation which you can create from unintellect, dumbness, and undiscernment, irrationality, and does not simply strike those amongst you who are inequitable, irresponsible, and unrighteous, conscienceless, and who do unright, because it always strikes everyone since you are a totality, community, with all people of your kind, humankind. 27. And always think that you can only be strong and not waver in fear if you stand together, so that nothing can sweep you away. You yourselves must shield yourselves from evil, from calamity, and from all terrible things, because it is only through you giving yourselves strength, and you giving yourselves help, and you providing yourselves with good things, and you being thankful that you can bask in pleasure. 28. Do not act wrongly concerning the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. And do not act wrongly concerning the true prophets, just as you shall not knowingly, consciously, act wrongly amongst yourselves, and shall not practice lovelessness or unfaithfulness, neither lying nor slander, calumny, nor hatred, nor revenge, and nor retaliation, nor outrage, acts of gavolt, torture, murder, nor defilement, violation, and nor trafficking in people of your kind, human beings, man, woman, and child. And you also shall not incite battles, wars, nor unfreedom, bondage, unpeace, misdeeds, crimes, and nor jealousy, nor veracity, nor stinginess, and nothing else that is an infringement of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. 29. And know that your goods and possessions and all your riches shall not be a temptation for you to be avaricious, and be thoughtful, reminded, that your children are a richness of your clan, family, but are not to be put to work like those amongst you who have come of age, grown-ups. And be thoughtful, reminded, that you shall not sell your children, offer them for sale, or defile, misuse, them for your revelry, sexuality. Your children are the reward of your love and togetherness. Therefore you shall also keep, care for, and educate them in love and guard, protect them in deference, honorableness. And consider that your children are the time to come, future, for all people of your kind, humankind, because they are the ones who continue your heritage. Love your children as you love yourselves, and teach them the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, so that they may be rightfully led, educated, and bear this heritage in the time to come, future. 30. Know that if you fear unright and unfairness, irresponsibility, and unrighteousness, consciencelessness, as well as virtuelessness, unpeace and lovelessness, hatred, revenge and retaliation, outrage, act of Gewalt, unfreedom, bondage, all disgracefulness, badness, and all infamous actions, crimes. Then you will be spared from all the terrible things and calamity that you bring down on yourselves through your undiscernment. Irrationality. 31. Do not be ones unknowing of the truth, and do not forge intrigues, guilefulnesses, against people of your kind. Next ones human beings, so that you are not captured by them, and that they do not kill you or drive you away. 32. If the words of the teaching of the true prophets are presented to you, then open your ears and listen, because their words are nothing at all like the false, hazy speeches, fables, of the old ones that they learned from the false prophets. 33. And do not lend your ear to the false prophets who taught that their gods and tin gods would have stones rain down on you from the firmament, or would bring down painful punishment on you if you acted against their wishes and directives, commands, because truly this is only lies. 34. The creation of all things, creation, is not like the fabulated, invented gods and tin gods who supposedly demand punishment and obedience from you. The creation of all things, creation, and its laws and recommendations are, however, free from punishment and obedience. 35. Therefore, people of your kind, human beings, do not need any excuse towards the creation of all things, creation, if you commit errors and infamous actions, crimes, because truly if you commit unright and misdeeds, then you only need an excuse for yourselves and amongst people of your kind, human beings, because you are yourselves responsible for vindication, responsibility, because you are your own teacher, master, and protector. Therefore you yourselves determine your own accountability and unaccountability, even if you do not want to know this. 36. And if you do not change and cannot excuse yourselves to yourselves and to people of your kind, fellow human beings, because you do not turn to the truth, then do not be presumptuous, do not dare to be unfair to the truth, to prophets and to those who strive to proclaim it, and teach you the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. And do not dare to whistle at them, to disrupt them by hand-clapping, catcalls, and base words, or to incite others to do so. 37. Truly, those amongst you who are ones unknowing of the truth, and who deny the laws and recommendations of the appearance, nature, and of the creation of all things, creation, you dare to use your possessions and riches for bribery in order to lead away the ones knowing of the truth, fair ones, responsible ones, righteous ones, conscientious ones, and virtuous ones from the way of the truth. And certainly they will continue in their doing until calamity befalls them, which gives them cause for remorse, and they will be overwhelmed with the rightness of the truth, so that they eliminate the state condition in themselves, which is a shadow world, hell for them. 38. Those amongst you are lost in yourselves who do not separate the evil from the good. Therefore you heap evil upon evil, and you create darkness in yourselves with regard to equitableness, fairness, righteousness, conscientiousness, and virtuousness, as well as with regard to love and consonance, harmony, freedom and peace. So you are full of terrible things, and you spin deeper and deeper into your shadow world, hell. 39. However, if you stand back, turn away from all your inner terrible things of iniquity, unfairness, and unrighteousness, consciencelessness, and you turn to equitableness, fairness, and righteousness, conscientiousness, and the real truth, then you can forgive yourselves what is past. And if you really turn to the truth, then you will find love and peace in yourselves, as well as freedom and consonance, harmony, by means of which you will also turn to virtues. 40. Fight against the evil and unfairness, irresponsibility, that is in you, and against all terrible things, so that you are no longer persecuted by them, and your knowledge and your wisdom are directed to the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. However, if you stand back, turn away from them, and continue to follow evil, then truly you create further lovelessness, unpeace, unfreedom, bondage, and dissonance, disharmony, in yourselves. 41. And if you turn your back on your iniquity, unfairness, unrighteousness, consciencelessness, and on all your inner terrible things, then you will become your own protector and your own perfect helper. 42. and know that whatever you do which is unright, it will come back on you, and battle war also belongs to unright and great terribleness, and you shall avoid it with all good and fair responsible means as well as with love. Only peace and freedom, love and consonance, harmony, amongst all peoples of your kind, humankind, is the way of equitableness, fairness, and of the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation. Consider battle war is never a way to the creation of peace, freedom, love, and consonance, harmony, but only a way of mishappening, hatred, unpeace, unfreedom, bondage, dissonance, disharmony, pillage, revenge and retaliation, robbery, destruction and boundless outrage with bloody deeds, killing and defilement, violation. Only you as people of your kind, human beings, have the might to avoid battles, wars, and to allow solely the laws and recommendations of the love to prevail, as they are given through the creation of all things, creation. Therefore you shall follow their truth, so that it goes well with all people of your kind, humankind. 43. Do not stand on the side of evil and unfairness, irresponsibility, of unrighteousness, consciencelessness, and of all terrible things. Rather stand on the side of right, so that you do not fall into the depths of an abyss of unright. If unclearness and dissensions, tension, strifes arise between people of your kind, fellow human beings, or between your peoples, then search for a mutual arrangement so that you may consider, clarify your conflict, altercation, and unfavor, enmity, and create peace amongst one another, and bring about such arrangements for consideration, clarification of the situation before it is too late and your true discernment, rationality, turns into undiscernment, irrationality, determined through your agreements that peace and freedom as well as consonance, harmony, shall prevail rather than battle, war, being considered, because it is only in this wise that protection on earth can be given to all people of your kind, humankind, and the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, can be fulfilled. 44. Do not concoct pictures, dreams, illusions, of how you can suppress people of your kind, fellow human beings, and your peoples, because doing such is not rightful and evidence of your pusillanimousness, fear and cowardice against people of your kind, human beings, because you foment discord, resentment against the truth and equitableness, fairness, which demands equality and freedom amongst all people of your kind, humankind. But this does not appeal to you because you want to rule over people of your kind, fellow human beings, and to exploit and capture, take advantage of them in any wise whatsoever. And do not foment discord, resentment against people of your kind, fellow human beings, if they are not willing to bend to your desire for something, since discord, resentment, creates enmity, which is against the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation. 45. And if you negotiate with people of your kind, fellow human beings, and reach agreements, then do not let them appear any less in your eyes than you are yourselves, so that all are of the same worth and the matter to be agreed on, arranged, may be brought about to the benefit of all, and bring about, arrange, everything so that a definitive decision is reached in the matter, through which peace and freedom, and therefore also consonance, harmony, is given guaranteed for all parties. 46. And when you meet to reach agreements, then be firm in the matter, so that the matter in hand is only regulated in the wise that peace, harmony, and concord, consonance, prevail, and also that freedom may be kept so that things go well with you. 47. And act in agreements in accordance with the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation, so that you do not foment discord, resentment amongst one another, and do not waste your power of true discernment, rationality, so that you remain truly steadfast. 48. Do not be ostentatious, and do not go out of your dwelling in order to be seen and cheered by people of your kind, fellow human beings, and in order to appear brilliant before them, because in doing so you take the true discernment, intellect, away from people of your kind, fellow human beings, and make them inhabitable ones, subservient ones, to you and into zealots, fanatics, which leads them to forget their own welfare and to do everything that you demand from them, whether it be robbing and killing or anything else that is baleful. 49. Do not assume that your ostentation and your brilliance, show off, appear as pleasing deeds to people of your kind, fellow human beings. whether it be through your actions or words, or it be through a belief, assumptions, in gods, tin god or demons, or through delusional teachings of false prophets and false sages. Be at all times honorable and equitable, so that none amongst the people of your kind, fellow human beings, can have anything against you. And be at all times honorable and have regard for, turn to, the truth, so that you do not have to turn on your heels, flee, when you do unright. Truly have nothing to do with unright, but always see the truth, right, and equitableness, fairness, so that you have nothing to fear. 50. Do not be hypocrites and not deceivers, but trust at all times in the truth, and follow it, and build on right, on equitableness, fairness, and righteousness, conscientiousness. Then you will live in peace and in freedom with yourselves, and will also carry out everything of goodness to people of your kind, fellow human beings. Therefore they will learn goodness from you. 51. However, be at all times watchful, and make sure that unfair ones, irresponsible ones, and unrighteous ones, conscienceless ones, do not cheat you and hypocritically deceive you, making you lose your face, honor, dignity, and turning away from the truth. Consider that if you turn away from the truth, then a fire of defilement will be kindled in you, which will consume you if you fall into remorse and shame. 52. And heed that you do nothing of unright with your hands, because you cannot make it good again, since everything that you do cannot be taken back, not be undone. Therefore, if you have committed an action, whether rightful or unrightful, then it remains done and cannot be recalled. 53. And if you do not uphold the signs, evidence, of the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, then you are punishing yourselves in your inner nature, since you will not find any rest or any peace, and neither any love, freedom, and consonance, harmony, so that you will live your life in inner distress and in misery, as well as in unsatisfaction and in pity of yourselves, feeling sorry for oneself, as well as in self-torment. 54. And if you live in your own self-torment and in pity of yourselves, feeling sorry for oneself, then you will find no pity in yourselves for yourselves, because your undiscernment, irrationality, does not allow you to find what is false in yourselves, so that you may recognize, see, and eliminate it, and so that you change to the better in your inner condition, and become joyous of the life. 55. So do not repudiate the signs, evidence of the truth, so that you do not eliminate yourselves in yourselves because of your unknowledge of the truth, so that you do not drown yourselves in your own inner misery, and you are not malefactors, misdemeanants against yourselves. 56. Do not be the worst amongst people of your kind, humankind, by being ungrateful towards life and denying the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, thereby killing, murdering, yourselves and people of your kind, human beings. Killing, murdering, yourselves or others, be it out of chicken-heartedness, cowardice, against illness, pain or fear, or be it out of jealousy, hatred or revenge and retaliation. So it is unrightful and against the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation, which honor life in all its kinds, whether in the present existence, life, of days on earth, or in the life of death, life. In the world of invisibility, other world. 57. Make a bond agreement with the laws and recommendations of the appearance, nature, and of the creation of all things, creation, which you never break and which shall be permanent, so that you may lead a fair, responsible life in righteousness, conscientiousness, and in liberation, fulfillment. 58. And if you are in a bond agreement with the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation, then you are propitious, well-disposed, to know unright, and so you do not wage any battles, wars, and you do not live in fear, because you are continuously admonished to do nothing that is unrightful. 59. And if you fear betrayal by people of your kind, fellow human beings, or by a people, then do not cast your promises or agreements down before their feet according to equitableness, convenience, fairness. Rather strive through words of true discernment, rationality, wisdom, and peaceableness to achieve a clarifying outcome, agreement, so that peace may come about. 60. And if unfair ones, irresponsible ones, and unrighteous ones, conscienceless ones, believe that they might have exceeded unduly advantaged. You then do not leave them in any doubt that you know about their unhonesty, so that they recognize, c, their defilement and can draw their own conclusion, c, that they are wrecking themselves through their deeds. 61. Do not strive to wage battles, wars against other peoples, and therefore do not strive to gather warriors, armed forces, and to cross the boundaries, frontiers of other people and wage battles, wars, in order to instill dread in them and to kill them. Strive not to have any enemies, neither those that you know nor those that you do not know. Always do your utmost to live in peace and freedom, as well as in consonance, harmony, with people of your kind, fellow human beings, and with other peoples, as well as with all people of your kind, humankind, and enmity never arises in you and around you. Truly, if you strive for friendship instead of enmity, then it will be paid back to you, and no unright will happen, just as you will not suffer any unright, any misery, or any hardship, so you will live well protected. 62. If you have enemies and these are inclined towards peace, then also be inclined to peace towards them, and forgive them, so that the enmity turns into friendship. 63. However, if you have enemies who make as if they are inclined towards peace but only want to deceive you in this, then the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation, shall be enough for you. So you strengthen yourselves with its help and do rightfully towards your enemies by being well disposed to them nevertheless, and standing by them and teaching, instructing them in the truth if they have the sense for it. 64. The laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, include love for all people of your kind, human beings. And therefore you shall take this love and use it also for all people of your kind, humankind, and for everything that is on earth and lives and crawls and flies there. And truly, the love of the creation of all things, creation, is included in all its created creations, creatures, creations, life forms, and in everything in existence, existing, therefore also in people of your kind, human beings. So you only have to awaken it in yourselves and bring it into activity, existence. 65. So the prophets teach you these things in ample measure, so that you give your prudence, attention, to the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation, and follow them, so your number of ones knowing of the truth increases. 66. Learn the truth through the teaching of the prophets, so that you do not incite people of your kind, fellow human beings, to fight against the truth. Learn the truth through the teaching of the prophets, so that you may be steadfast in the truth, and in following the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. So you overcome everything and turn your back on everything that is unrightful and disastrous and calamitous, which you are accustomed to do in your undiscernment, unintellect, because you do not understand, do not realize the laws and recommendations of the primal power, creation. 67. Lighten your burden of your undiscernment, unintellect, and your intransigence, irrationality, as well as your unfreedom, bondage, and lovelessness, your unpeace, dissonance, disharmony, hatred and jealousy, revenge, retaliation, and your weakness in order to become steadfast ones who take joy in life and well-being. 68. And let it be said to you once again that you shall not wage any battles, wars, and shall not take prisoners in a fight either, because freedom is given to all people of your kind, human beings, and to all kinds of life, life forms, through the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation. And if it is the case, nevertheless, that you have prisoners, people of your kind, human beings, who have done something to deserve a punishment, then you shall only restrict their freedom in such a wise that they do not have to spend their existence, life, behind walls, but instead in places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, where they can live in freedom and be responsible for their own provision, food, clothing, etc., whilst however being excluded from the totality of people of your kind, society. And if you keep animals and other creatures in unfreedom, then ensure that their living space is sufficiently large for them to have an adequate space for freedom. And do not keep slaves, thralls, or other subjugated ones, because they also live in imprisonment since they are the property of others and do not have their own freedom which allows them to do and to omit to do as they want. So they are the suppressed possession of slave masters, masters of subjugated ones, and masters of thralls who do not have their own freedom of decision, free will, and are robbed of freedom. 69. And if you have fallible ones who are brought to places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, then take care for the well-being of their body, their inner world consciousness, and their psyche, so they are not beset by tribulation and thereby come to harm. And if fallible ones are brought to places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, who are regarded as a great danger for people of your kind, human beings, because it is certain that they will fall back into their outrageous, criminal activities, then also provide for their well-being, and also that they can provide for themselves food, clothing, and that they have access to the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, but they shall remain in the place of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, for the duration of their life. And so there is no longer any danger for the totality of people of your kind, society. 70. And teach the prisoners, the fallible ones, who are in your hands or at places of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, that they shall recognize, see, the good and truthfully in themselves, so that it may go better with them than before, previously, when they did unrightful things, and be benevolent and fair to them, and forgive them if they show remorse. 71. However, if they only want to betray you because they do not change their attitude, mentality, in order to be able to be released from the place of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, then retain might over them and have them continue to remain in the place of fulfillment of guidelines, secluded island, secluded place, so they can no longer carry out any outrageous crimes against the totality of people of your kind, society, or against individuals of you. 72. Truly, if you are ones knowing of the truth and go out, leave, or remain in your homesteads in order to teach the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life to those unknowing in the teaching, just as the true prophets do, then do not dispute the truth of the teaching with people of your kind, fellow human beings, but rather stand by them with help, and also give them shelter if they require it, so that you are not strangers but friends to one another. And consider, even if you are strangers amongst one another as people of your kind, fellow human beings, so you shall nevertheless be conscientious, responsible for one another by standing by, helping one another when assistance, help, is required or recognizably, visibly, a necessity. And this not only applies to people of your kind, human beings, as individuals, but also to an entire people and all people of your kind, humankind. 73. Awaken to the truth of the love as is firstly given and secondly recommended through the laws and recommendations of the creation of all things, creation, so that you only do good things to one another and do not foment calamity against yourselves and against people of your kind, fellow human beings, and therefore no chaos comes about. 74. And if you are knowing ones in the truth and you teach people of your kind, fellow human beings, the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life as the true prophets also teach it, and because you know about the truthfully truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation, are connected to them and follow them, then you are truthfully fair ones, responsible ones, righteous ones, conscientious ones, and full of virtues, so you forgive those who are against you, whatever their reasons may be. 75. And if you are knowing ones in the truth, then do not quarrel for the truth, rather live according to it and teach it, and therefore you are in your knowledge about the truth and in life an example for them, by means of which you always stand close to people of your kind, fellow human beings, whether you are blood relations, friends, or strangers of one another.